to go ahead and get started. Good morning. My name is Seaborn Chappell, and I am a senior at Decatur Heritage Christian Academy. Today, I'm going to tell you a little about a problem you have and how I can help you fix it. The problem is that your writing instruments do not produce a wow. Now, this is something we have been learning through the whole year in CEO, and that's what really been ingrained in us is to wherever we go and whoever we meet to produce a wow. Just to have such good character and leave such a good impression on people that they are wowed. And I believe that this can also be done through writing instruments, and that's why I started Riverwood to craft beautiful writing instruments that perform well and make lasting impressions on those who use them while making a difference. And so Riverwood is a woodworking company. It is a sole proprietorship. I started it, well, it really began 3 years ago as a hobby, and ever since it has slowly become a more legitimized business. Um, at Riverwood, we make mainly two things. We make different types of ink pens along with different styles of coasters. Um, we have, with the coronavirus, of course, a lot of businesses have not made it, and some have had to change totally how they operate. Thankfully, we've been able to adjust with this. We've just shifted our target markets um, to online places, and instead of actually being able to meet people and sell and show our products. Quickly, I'm going to show you a few examples of pens I have. This is one of the pens I sell is a mini bolt action pen. It comes in several different colors, and as you see, to get the tip out, you rack the bolt like you would on an actual rifle. This is really popular with hunters and people who are into guns and whatnot. This is also another one. It's one of my higher end ones. This is a rollerball pen. Comes with a cap, and the ink is very nice on it. It's smooth. It doesn't smear. And so part of me starting Riverwood was being able to give back to something to make a small difference wherever that might be. And so 10% of my proceeds will be going to support Youth for Christ ministry. It's a ministry I've been involved in before and I'm very passionate about, and glad to be able to support it through this business. And so here's also an example of some of the coasters I make. I can do them in pretty much any color, and I can do combinations of wood, and these are made out of epoxy. And so that's all I have. I'll be happy to answer any questions I can for y'all.
All right, we'll start out with Kim.
Quick question. You had mentioned that it's something you've been doing for years. What made you get started in this industry and gave you the idea it's something that you wanted to do? And who are some of your competitors that are currently out there?
Okay, great question. So I've been woodworking for most of my life. A good friend of mine got me into it and has been sort of mentoring me just throughout this process, and it's been very helpful. And then about 3 years ago, I was able to attend a wood turning class on the Arsenal, where they turn pins there and then they send them out to soldiers. And since then, I loved it then, and I was able to get a lathe, which is what I turned them on about 2 years later. And so that's how I got started in this. So my competition, this is sort of a niche market, and there's not a whole lot of people competing in it. But one of the biggest competitors in the wood turning market in North Alabama is called Grain Turner. He's located at a new market, and he mostly does shows, different craft fairs and whatnot, and just does very well at them. But he does have a website and has a decent portion of the market as far as I can tell. And there are also several online vendors on places like Etsy, mainly on Etsy, that sell wood turned pins, along with wood turning supplies and whatnot.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I had a quick question. Why are you only choosing just to go with pens? Why not plaques or other products? Why are you limiting yourself with pens?
So right now, well, I'm mainly doing pins just because that is what I enjoy doing, and so that's how I'm initially getting started. Um, and I am limited right now by the equipment I have. I do not have a very large shop, and so if I need to work on a really large order or use special equipment, I have to go and pay to use a shop. So right now, I'm mainly doing pins and coasters because that's what I can easily produce at my home. But as I go to college and I have access to better equipment on the campus, hopefully I can. Well, I do have plans to go into different products. Right now, I'm researching and working on some leather products that can go along with my pins, like pin sleeves, and then other small things like business card holders and whatnot. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Seaborn, is your goal to make custom pins for kind of the individual or the corporation, or to kind of have certain designs that you produce that you make for kind of a mass market? Can you kind of talk about that? Would you make 1,000 of a thing if you could?
Sort of my goal with this, at least through CEO, is to be able to sell to the businesses that we had been interacting with, because that just gave me an already established relationship and connection with those businesses that I could easily set up meetings with. And so the corporate market was sort of my target market, being able to produce sets of pins for companies, maybe for a conference room, or an executive or whatever like that. That would be all like they would all be the same style and tailored to that business's wants and needs. But seeing as with the coronavirus that changes a little bit, I'm going to be targeting more towards the individual and making large orders. Like if someone ordered 1,000 as your example, I could do that. That would take very long. That would take me a long time because it's just me right now. And when I do get large orders like that, I do them in batches. So I'll make batches of say like 20 or 50 and then get them to them um, on a recurring basis until I fill their order. But it's not large orders right now. I just don't have the equipment to or manpower to handle that.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to kind of start small to start with, just as you think about this business. Is this something that you're doing for, CEO program, or is this something that you hope to continue for years after this? And honestly, what is your intention with this? Because I know, for example, we've talked to others that, they just, they've got restrictions or the inability to continue the business past a couple months. So I'm just interested in that for you.
Like I said earlier, this is one of my biggest like hobbies before and passions. Like I love doing this, and I do hope to see it grow in the future. I know that in the next 5 years, I will be pretty busy with college, but I'm definitely going to exploit Alabama's resources and connections there to try and grow my business. It's definitely something I do want to continue. Um, Whether I could do it full time or not, that's probably a no. It will always probably be like a second just side job, but I don't plan to give this up anytime soon.
Good deal. So, how did you decide on pricing?
Yes, so my pricing. For my pricing, I looked at my competitors, and one of the main vendors I use online is called Penn State, and there it's the largest supplier of pen-like supplies and materials and blanks. And when you go look at the different like pen kits and whatnot, it has data from all sorts of people who sell them. So for like, if you pair this roller ball with this type of wood or this deer antler, you can sell it for X amount. And then I took that data, looked at what was the just sort of popular pricing point on markets like Etsy and Facebook and whatnot. And then I went a little lower in my pricing just to try to give myself an edge.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Have you kind of bottomed up your pricing as well from a profitability standpoint? I mean, I see your profit loss statement, and so you're showing kind of a healthy amount there. But some of the things on here, like I didn't know pin kits and blanks is self-explanatory. You got supplies on there. I wasn't sure what exactly that was. Just kind of talk to me about that.
Yeah, so like the supplies and stuff, that's going to be the glue I use when making the pins. That's going to be the sandpaper that I use when shaping and forming them, and then like the different finishes that I put on them. That depends on the pin and the material, and so that would be like supplies and stuff that I'll have to continually buy as I use more and more of it and make more pins.
Last question for this round for me is on your P&L, you list shop time as a fixed cost. What do you mean by that?
Okay, so the shop I use, it's actually where I learned to turn the pins. It's on the Arsenal, and they do have a $10 per hour charge